Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session on Chat with Chamindra. And today I have a very special guest, a friend of mine. We have school together. We have been known each other from kids. Right? So I have a very special guest in Adhnan Wazil. He's a immigration lawyer, and he's currently residing in Melbourne, Australia, if I'm not mistaken. So we are talk today. We have a very special topic, something that is in the mind of many, and some who have already done it, and some have already, are in the process of doing. It's about migrating to the land down under, to Australia, and Adnan is today helping us on giving some really good information about how to you know do this process correctly, and any issues, common questions people have related to that, and he's helping out with some with his knowledge, because he's an expert in that process. So, and he's someone who's doing the consulting and supporting people to immigrate to Australia. So let's get his just dig into his mind and get his feedback and get his knowledge on how this process works, and how people can get some help and support to achieve their dream of living in the land of land down under. So first of all, before we proceed, Adnan, why don't you give a small introduction about yourself? Yeah.
Hi Chamindra, how are you? So I am basically a lawyer. I'm an Australian lawyer. I've been a lawyer since 2009. I got my admission in the Supreme Court of Victoria in August 2009 to be exact. I worked in Sri Lanka for some time. I worked for multinational companies in Sri Lanka as the legal consultant. And also, I've been working as an immigration lawyer for the last 4 years or so. Okay. I work for a company called BLN Lawyers. I'm the senior associate and migration team leader for the company. In addition, we have around 20 lawyers in our team. We specialize in immigration, but we also have a criminal law, family law, property law units as well within our company. We're based in Melbourne. We have 4 offices, one in West Melbourne, one in a suburb called Glenroy, which is our head office. And then we have 2 offices specializing in Vietnamese clients in Springvale and Footscray. Yep.
Great. Super. So as you told, there are many facets when it comes to being a lawyer. So I just were very curious. Why did you choose to be an immigration lawyer? Why did you choose that area?
The reason I chose immigration law was it's a field of law that you can help people come to Australia, and I know what Australia has to offer for lots of people, and I like that field because it gave me a chance to let other people also come and experience what I'm experiencing right now, and I help them pave the way, help them with the process, I help them with any legal issues they'd face in having the ability to achieve this dream. So that's the reason I chose immigration law. And previously I used to be a corporate lawyer, but the corporate law was not exactly my cup of tea, and I moved into immigration law around 4 years ago.
Super. I mean, you're correct. I mean, many people, especially Sri Lankans and, mostly South Asian country people, they always dream of going to Australia, right? It's the country they always try to immigrate. So, I mean, that's a great thing you're doing. So, I just wanted to know, so there are many, what are the various, we have seen a lot of visa types and all these, ways of getting to Australia, when it comes to very different visa types. Can you give us a briefing on, what are the visa types available for, anyone. You can
So
specialize to any profession, but because what I have seen is mostly the IT professionals. Those are the guys who most of the time, immigrate, and they have a very, good background and good chance to emigrate, right? So it's not stereotype to them, but what are the common, visa types, and what are how people can, various types, and what are the visa types available for them to apply, and when trying to migrate to Australia. Could you give a brief on that?
So generally speaking, I'm going to touch upon the skilled migration pathway. Okay, there are obviously many pathways you can come. There are people who come here and they do protection visas. Some individuals may come as partners or spouses.
Mm.
Some people may have relatives like parents who sponsor them as child visas if they are under the age of 23. But I'm going to touch on mainly the skilled migration pathway because for the other pathways you have specific requirements to be able to achieve those pathways. However, skilled migration, I mean, if you have the right skill set, if you have the right education, if you have the right experience, is open to everyone. You do not need to be particularly like something like, let's say, a spouse of someone or a child of someone, or come for protection reasons to Australia. So talking about the skilled migration pathway, broadly speaking, there are three routes you can come to Australia. One route is the most obvious one taken by most Sri Lankans. That is, they come here, they study first. They come as a student, so they do a student visa, and they come and study in one of the universities or colleges here, and which in turn leads to a permanent skilled migration pathway, which I'm going to discuss now. One of the most popular ones is what you would have heard or known as the GSMP skilled pathways, which is general skilled migration. So what is general skilled migration? It's basically, the points-based pathways where you have certain qualifications, age, experience, and the Australian government gives you points for every separate indicator that you have. All right, and that's divided into we call them 189 or 190 visas or 491 visas. I'll elaborate into that further. That's one pathway. And the other pathway is what we would call employer sponsored visas. So you have the temporary employer sponsored visas and permanent employer sponsored visas. Okay. So going back to the general skilled migrations or points based visas, which is very popular amongst the Sri Lankans because you do not need a sponsor here, is basically a pathway where people first get a thing called a skills assessment. So you can do a skills assessment only if your occupation is in the occupation list and you are under the age of 45. So you get the skills assessment done. Most of the people in the IT industry will get a skills assessment with Australian Computer Society, or better known as ACS, while engineers would get skills assessments from Engineers Australia, and teachers have a skills assessing authority called AITSL. So there's many skills assessing pathways depending on your occupation, qualification, and experience. Lots of people also have this misnomer that you got to have a qualification in order to get a skills assessment. It's not necessarily that. For example, tradespeople like diesel mechanics, motor mechanics, painters, carpenters, if they have more than 3 years work experience, that would substitute for a qualification. And even in the IT field, certain IT occupations, if you have 5 years work experience, that will substitute for your qualification, and you may get vendor qualifications as well, which maybe Microsoft, Cisco, etc. So there is various ways you can come through. All right. So having spoken about the skills assessment, the next most important thing is your English skills. When I talk about English skills, we think about IELTS, but there are also other exams like PTE, Cambridge, TOEFL, uh, and some people actually find PTE easier than IELTS. So an ideal skilled migrant would have superior English, which is an equivalent of IELTS 8 and above for every single stream. So in PTE, that would be 79 and above for every single stream. So once you've got your skills assessment and your English results sorted out, the next step is we have to submit an expression of interest. What is an expression of interest? It's basically an application which we submit to the federal or the state governments, depending on whether it's a 189 or a 190 visa, saying that you're interested in migrating to Australia. The next step would be we wait till the government gives us an invitation based on our points, based on the demand currently in Australia. Yeah. The good thing about that is you do not need a sponsor. However, the flip side on the GSM visas or point-based visas is you're reliant on the government giving an invitation. Only when the government gives you an invitation, you can go ahead and apply for a visa, either a 189 or a 190 visa. So that basically summarizes what the skill GSM visas is. Then we go on to the employer-sponsored visas, which is one of the visas I specialize in as well. And I promote more because it has a streamlined pathway. Why do I say streamlined pathway? Because if you have a sponsor and you have the right experience and your English requirement is not as high as the requirements for a GSM, you basically need 5 for IELTS and 36 for PTE. You can basically get sponsored on a temporary visa if you have 1 year post-qualification experience, and if you have 3 years post-qualification experience and you have a skilled assessment as well, you can come on a permanent 186 visa. For both these visa categories, there are certain skills lists submitted by the government which you have to follow, and if you're within those occupations in the skills list, you can basically apply for a 482 or 196 visa, provided you have a sponsor in Australia. Yeah.
So thanks, Adhan, for that great explanation. So when it comes to the visas and all that process, the main question that comes to many is related to the cost, right? So what do you, from all these 3 visas, from your experience, what would be the most, uh, cost effective one when it comes to cost wise, and what would be the more visa that would give you a best chance to come to Australia, so our
So
audience can get an
we
idea
can talk
about
about our cost and how we charge basically. All right. So costs vary from lawyer to lawyer, and especially in the migration fields, you have many migration agents uh, who basically would charge very low fees, but obviously the expertise would not be at the level as a migration lawyer. So they may be charging a bit less. Lawyers tend to charge a little bit more because obviously they've completed a degree and postgraduate qualifications and admission and experience. So we as lawyers, I could tell you approximately how much we charge. So let's start with for example, the GSM visas. We charge approximately $1,500 plus the application fees for skills assessment. Okay, so application fees differ from skills assessing authority to authority. AC Australia Computer Science is around 1,100, while Wet Assess is around 700. AITSL is another 800. So it depends, So we charge approximately $1,500 to maybe even 2,000 when we do let's say, the Engineers Australia skills assessment, which is a bit more complicated. Then After we do the skills assessment, when we have to lodge the EOI, we charge around $900 to $1,100 plus GST for submitting of a EOI, depending on how many expression of interest you want to submit, depending on how many states, So it's approximately 900, 1,100. Let's assume you get your invitation and we go on to apply for the visa. Our cost would be approximately $3,000 to $4,000, depending on how many dependents you have. Total cost overall, you should keep, if you're an individual, you should keep approximately around $10,000 to $12,000 approximately. And if you have obviously if you have a spouse and children, to add them on, the visa cost would be additional, depending on obviously how many children you have, would cost another three to $4,000. And if you have 2 or 3 children more, maybe another $5,000-6,000 approximately. So totally you got to keep around $20,000 if you have a family of two, let's say. Yeah.
So it's like that approximately that kind of a cost is you have to keep that kind of saving.
In Sri Lankan rupees, 2 million rupees approximately for an individual, going up to around, let's say, 2.5 to 3 million rupees if you have a spouse and children. Yes.
So all these visas, just to get a clear idea, you can apply to them till you're around 45, right?
Till you're around 45, but obviously your points start reducing. Your optimum age is between 25 and 32. Then it starts reducing again from 32 for 40, and 40 to 45 it reduces even more. So ideally it should be below 40, but depending on your work experience and your points and the occupation, there's a good chance that you can get an invitation. Yeah.
Okay. And just another query on that. Does getting an invitation guarantee you a visa? Because that's a common problem. I mean, query I have seen around many circles and people, discuss.
If you go through a proper lawyer or an expert in that area, and they have submitted an expression of interest with the correct information, and there is no false information or any mistakes in it, then yes, provided you do not have a criminal background or a bad health record, you should get a visa. It's just a matter of time once you submit the visa.
Great. Thank you, Adnan, for that great detailed explanation. So another one that many parents, especially in Sri Lanka and again South Asian countries and even other countries as well, I've seen is they are trying to push their kids to go for Australian universities and then go through that visa process. Can you give an idea about that process on for any parents who are watching, if they are trying to uh, put their kid through the university process and get the visas? How can they do that? What sort of support you guys can give as well for the students and the parents to get the visa?
Personally, what I would suggest, if the parents have the intention, the children have the intention of remaining in Australia to get a permanent residency visa, I suggest they consult with an immigration lawyer or an expert in the area, because a popular issue or widespread issue I've seen is many Sri Lankans come here and do a degree which they feel sounds nice. For example, like international business or MBA. But those qualifications do not necessarily help you with the ability to get PR. Not that it's impossible, it makes it difficult. Because in Sri Lanka, they love the sound of, what does your son study or daughter study? Oh, they're studying international business. They're doing their MBA. Lots of people end up doing MBAs in Sri Lanka. But it does not necessarily help with your with your permanent residency pathway. If you're doing it with the intention to study and get back to Sri Lanka, that's a different issue altogether. However, if you want to remain in Australia, you got to make sure you study a degree or a course that will help you get your permanent residency in the future. That's what I would advise most of my budding students and their parents before they choose a qualification. The first step they have to do to choose a qualification is choose a university or an institute or a college and get a document called a COE, or Certificate for Enrollment, or sometimes they may call it also an offer letter. It depends on which colleges. If you get an offer letter, that should suffice. If you're offshore, apply for an Australian visa, a student visa, that is. Student visa would cost, if you come to one of the agents in Sri Lanka, they do it for free because they basically get paid by the, what do you call, the colleges or the institutes or the universities. If you come through a lawyer or an agent based here, obviously there'll be a charge of approximately the visa fees plus $1,500 approximately. However, I would still advise all my students who want to come to Australia to consult with a lawyer or an expert in that area. And consultation for us, for example, we charge $150 for consultation and advise you exactly what to study, what the pathway you got to choose. And then we take it from there on. And we advise them what they should be doing thereafter and what hopefully they can do to get their PR based on the current laws.
Great. Can I dig into your feedback a little bit more? What are these common MBA programs that help students to achieve the PR path? Just to dig into your mind on that area as well. From your experience?
So the PR pathway occupations and programs the, and the courses they've been doing have been, you can't say it's the same every year. However, as at present, your chances of getting permanent residency would mostly be in teaching pathways, in any medical field, doctors, nurses, and also anything to do with construction. If you come here and do a Cert 3 and 4 or a diploma in one of the construction fields, you have a good chance right now to get an invitation and also a chance to get sponsored as well. All these three avenues, that is teaching, medical, construction. And if you break up medical a little bit more, aged care as well within medical would be helpful. However, having said that, accountants, IT specialists, lawyers mostly qualified in Australia. I wouldn't recommend lawyers from overseas because they will come do further qualifications here and further studies. But I would say accountants, IT professionals also have pathways if they have the correct experience and they have the correct English skills.
Great. Super. Then my next question, you came to the right path on the English skills, right? So many is what I see in experience in Sri Lanka as well. So many have experienced difficulties in getting the correct scores related to English proficiency. So I see many have told IELTS is difficult. What you said as well, PT is more easy. I've seen that and I've heard about people saying that. So how bigger chance is there for people who are not having the superior English level that you have mentioned earlier? Do they have a chance to migrate to Australia, or should they give try and move to superior English all the time? And I mean, do they have a chance or no chance?
Um,
What can you advise or give your 2 cents on about that?
uh, like I'm not an expert on obviously English teaching, but basically what I can say is, all these exams, they have a certain structure, right? I personally, when I did my IELTS so many years back, I didn't go for any classes. I basically went on YouTube and I understood the structure and I used the structure mainly through the YouTube channel. So basically, advise all of you to go check the YouTube channels out there and see what the structure is. And when you go to the exam, use what you learn from those YouTube channels to apply at the exams very well, because they're very accurate and they're very helpful, and there's lots of resources on. That's what I would advise people. Whether you only can get in through Superior English, not necessarily. There are people who are invited not necessarily on just Superior English. However, Superior English will help with the points factor. It'll give you higher points. It gives you 20 points when it comes to a GSM visa. People who find it difficult to get Superior English or high English results, I would say try applying for jobs in Australia. Look, there are many sponsors who are looking out for workers from Sri Lanka and employees and professionals from Sri Lanka. So I would say keep an eye out for those. Apply for jobs, and the requirement for English for most work visas is very low. It's like 5 in IELTS, which is comparison to an 8 is very low. It's basically below average English that you require for that. And also a good factor about a work visa is you can get a work visa and keep on renewing it every 4 years, and there's no age limit as well. Obviously, you can't get your PR. It's more difficult. There are certain requirements to get PR if you're over 45, but you can still get a work visa and come to Australia on a 482 work visa and keep on renewing it every 4 years if you have a sponsor, and you do not need the high English results. In addition to that, how can you help your English? I would say, speak in English. That helps a lot as well. Speak in English whenever you can. Speak to people who can speak better English, maybe, and learn from them. Because sometimes one factor I've seen with lots of foreign students is over here as well, is they do not speak in English. They just go and study English. Studying English alone won't help you do well in these exams. The ability to speak, correspond with everyone in English at most times is what's going to help with these exams as
Okay, super. That's a good insight. Thank you, Adnan, for that. So, I think this is a question we should have asked earlier. So, why come to Australia? Right? There are so many countries now. People have migrated from what I've seen. People are migrating to Scandinavian countries. They are going to United Kingdom, but the majority choose Australia and even New Zealand. Those kind of countries. Why do you what do you see the uniqueness of coming to Australia, and why choose as a country to immigrate? Can you give your 2 cents about that?
well. One of the main things I see in Australia is they have this saying, branding, which is fair go for all. That means they do not discriminate amongst people. Obviously, there's racism all over the world, but they're just, they're fair. And if you are educated, if you work hard, you can always do well in Australia. Compared to most other countries, you do not find issues like what we see in America with violence, because there are no guns running around. People don't run around with guns here. Then also the issues in Europe, where there's lots of racism in Europe. Over here, most of these issues are it's there in the background, but if you basically work hard and strive, you can achieve your dreams here. And I would say you could actually achieve your real American dreams in Australia more than America. From a practical sense of point of view, I have many clients coming to Australia from Canada, United Kingdom, Scandinavia, and America, because they find the living standards better here. They like the lifestyle here. Also, what we talk about work-life balance. Basically, they do not expect you to work on Saturday or Sunday or work beyond 5 o'clock. They understand that you have family life. They understand that you have other things to do other than work, and they give that priority over here compared to most other countries, including Sri Lanka.
Correct.
Also, the weather. It's not as cold as Canada. If you see Canada, it doesn't snow here. It does tend to get a bit hot during summer, and even the winter is not as cold as Scandinavia or United Kingdom for that matter. We also have lots of New Zealanders coming here because the cost of living in New Zealand is a bit higher than Australia compared to how much you earn. And also a key factor, if you go and do your research, you know that Australia has the highest minimum wage in the world, which is $24, compared to America, which is approximately 9 to 10 American dollars. Everybody over here is ensured that they have a standard lifestyle over here, the good standard of living. You don't find a big disparity between, the very rich people and let's say the lower middle class or lower. There's no class system per se as well over here. It's a very peaceful country as well.
Great. Thanks for that, Adnan. Thanks for that. So, yeah, that's the thing. And I've seen even they give even from a very from a sports point of view, they give other people's, I mean, immigrant parents, kids also a chance, right? I mean, they don't give only the Australians,
Yeah,
pure Australians a chance in their teams. I've seen in the cricket teams, the rugby teams, and even different sports teams. They have that mix, right? They have that mix, and they give that equal chance as well when it comes to sport activities as well, isn't it?
correct.
I've seen.
That's correct. For example, I think there's a Sri Lankan in the Australian soccer team as well. And
Yeah,
he's I think a key player and a striker for the team. So
right.
I mean, over here, based everything's done on merit. It's not who you know or how much you have. It's more on, oh, are you good at it? Okay, if you're good at it, we'll give you a chance. So, which is what a fair and just society should be revolving around as well.
Correct.
um,
That's
that's one of the main attractions for people to come here as well. You'd find people of all different walks of life. You get different colors, different nationalities, different cultures, different dress codes. People do not judge you here on what you dress or how you look or how big you are, how rich you are. A millionaire and a person working as a cleaner would walk together here, and not, you wouldn't know the difference basically, which
great.
is a key factor for a progressive society as well. The fact that there is no class system like we see a lot in South Asia, you know. So, and I think the pay as well, like I said, the minimum wage helps a lot as well towards that, because people are paid a dignified amount or as a pay instead of, as you know, what happens in South Asia and many other countries. Yeah.
But great. Okay, great. That is some great insights, Adnan. But thank you for that. So, before we conclude, why don't you give how the lawyers can help, anyone who's willing to apply, who can, who wants to, apply for visas and, get in touch and, get their Australian dream, fulfilled. How can the lawyers can help and, what support you guys can give, if you can give some insight to that.
What I suggest is, firstly, book a consultation with us. We'll assess your qualifications, your experience, and we'll guide you on which pathway to take and which avenues you'd have open to you. I would also advise students to contact us before they come to Australia and start a degree or a qualification, or even if you're here in Australia, contact us, and we'll try to guide you on how we can help you with your permanent residency. So I would, I think Chamindra will share my mobile number and my email, where they can contact me, and through my Instagram page or my Facebook page or through my whatever contactable way, even through the mobile or email as well. So maybe speak to Chamindra and, or check his links out, his YouTube pages and his Instagram and Facebook, and maybe you could contact me through that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I will share those insight links and all those insights and all those website details with this video. You can will be seeing them. Uh, the links are uploaded down below. So yeah, we'll share those things. So great. So that would be great, Adnan. Thank you so much for joining today and
Thank you
sharing
for
your
having
thoughts
me.
and knowledge with all of us. And I see uh, it's a great, I mean, great what you are doing. You know, you are helping others to, achieve their dreams and, fulfill their dreams. So I wish you all the very best and all the strength for you to continue what you are doing, the great work you are doing. One last thing if you want to say before we wind up for today.
Um, Thank you for having me as well, Chamindra. And I hope, everybody is able to fulfill their dreams, whatever way possible, in Australia or anywhere part of the world, and even in Sri Lanka. I mean, and just go get your dreams, I guess, and try your best. That's all we can do, yeah. So,
Correct.
yeah. Okay,
Very true.
okay,
Very true. Great.
okay, guys.
Thank, thank you so much, Adnan, for joining and accepting my invitation on Chat with Chamindra and being a part of a great session today. And I wish you all the very best. We'll catch
Okay.
up again soon. Okay.
Thank you for having me,
Thank
Chamindra.
you so
Thank you very
much.
much. See you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.